Welcome back to r/LegalAdvice, where people ask questions, get advice, and we get satisfaction. If you are new around here, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel to join our awesome community, and without any further ado, let's dive right into the stories. And guys, I would just like to say this is an XXL story, so please watch until the end because this is the only story for today, but it has many updates and it is very interesting. It is titled, Washington, ex-husband is a police officer, lied during divorce and officials he worked with covered it up and I lost custody. I need help, I feel so helpless and powerless, this may be a wall of text but here it goes. I met my ex-husband when I was 16 and he was 26, cop at the time, he groomed me until I was 18 and then started dating me. He told me not to tell anyone, I lied to my parents because I knew they would not approve me dating someone 10 years older than me. I became pregnant, it was the right thing at the time to get married. I became a stay-at-home mom because that is what he wanted and what I was brought up thinking was the proper way to raise children. 2 years later we had another child. He was okay at first and then as time went on he became more controlling and I became miserable. He became more controlling, mean and an alcoholic. I stayed because I was told that I could never find someone who would take care of me like him. I had no job experience to get an income to raise the kids, etc. You know the abuse cycle. I finally left after the second time he pushed me across the room when I said I'm going to call the police on you. He responded with,
"Go ahead, we all do it, and they won't do anything."
I knew then I needed out. I got the nerve and left. I stayed with my mom and kept the kids with me until he told me that he would charge me with kidnapping if I did not let him see them. He was livid I had left, threatened to end his own life, was drinking and driving, screaming every profanity in the book at me. I called the number you are supposed to call when police are doing this. I was transferred to the under-sheriff of our county and she gave me her direct number to call anytime. I told her he was threatening to end his own life and he needed help and did not want my kids around him. We had an agreed temporary plan in place and he got mad one night and was drinking and driving with my kids. I again called the police and they told me they were taking care of it. Found out they had someone take the kids to their grandparent and they drove him to his mother's. I got a place on my own to live in the county where he was a deputy and he was driving around my house. Again, I filed a complaint and they told me they were taking care of it. Well, here is where it all goes downhill. I decided to move out of the county and he flipped. He hired a lawyer and took me to court saying that he did not want the kids taken out of the school they were in. I submitted my declaration stating everything I have told here and more. The abuse, the words he used, the calls to the police, declarations from everyone who knew us. It did not matter, the under-sheriff who said I could call all of the time wrote something up for my ex that said he was a great guy and great cop. The officers that showed up to remove the guns from his home because he was threatening to end his own life and me wrote him glowing recommendations on what a great parent he was, that they never saw him drink, let alone drink and drive. It was unbelievable what I was hearing and reading. They showed up in court to support him. His lawyer was the wife of the county prosecutor. Needless to say, I lost. The stay-at-home mom who had never done drugs, did not drink, volunteered at the school on a regular basis, took my kids on vacations without my husband because he refused to come with us. I was devastated. My kids were a mess. They had never really been apart from me. Now they could only see me every other weekend. He had never had to raise them and he was failing, so he had his mom do it. His mom saw my kids more than me. Now, 5 years later, I am still sad. I still want my kids and I find out my ex-husband was reprimanded and subsequently fired for drinking and driving on duty at 6 at 10 AM. He would drive the kids to school in his patrol car. And I suppose guys, .06 is some kind of highway or something? I'm not sure. I go through all of the avenues to take him back to court because you know, on top of the drinking and driving, he's not following the parenting plan. Little things though, nothing big enough to file contempt over. Not telling me about doctor appointments, not listing me as a parent at the doctor office so I can get records, moving out of the school district and not telling me until the day before school starts, using every ambiguity in his favor, things like that. I get in front of a commissioner and I am told,
"I like Officer
blank.
I have worked with him on several cases, so I'm throwing out the drinking and driving." As for the other stuff, you have a case for a minor modification, but I will not be taking the kids out of that home.
Again, I was discouraged. Here we are today, my daughter is 16 and my son is 14, and I think maybe there will be a moment of progress when the school called CPS and my ex-brother-in-law called CPS because my daughter told them, both on separate occasions, that their dad drinks to the point of unconsciousness, he gets very angry and throws things across the rooms. She tried cutting herself when he threw a plate across the room because she was wearing wedge sandals. They are so stressed out and scared, he keeps all forms of communication away from them. They are only allowed to contact me through his phone when he allows, and they do not have access to the internet or friends at his house. My house is different, they both have phones and tablets and can call their dad whenever they want. I did have to block his new wife on their phones though, because she was harassing them when they were with me. I just found out today that CPS will not investigate because he has done nothing criminal. I don't know what to do, I am heartbroken. I know it took everything for my daughter to come forward and say anything, she is so scared of her dad. How do I protect my kids when there is so much covering up and corruption? I really just needed to vent and need some advice. Thank you guys for your help in advance. Edit, when I say fired, he was given a last chance agreement to submit to treatment, prove that he completed treatment and undergo random UAs. Instead of doing this, he quit and became an officer for the local police and told them he completed treatment and that he was targeted by another officer for retaliation. I also forgot to mention we have both since remarried. I have a very good career now. I would be more financially stable than he is at this point. And guys, as you can tell, this story is gonna be an absolute roller coaster of emotions, but I am very glad to say that there are quite a few updates for this story, so let's see how it continues. And by the way, if you have watched until here, please don't forget to post some star emojis in the comments to show that you are an awesome, loyal, ripe star. Thank you so much in advance. Oh, and by the way, unfortunately for the first part of the story, all the comments that were relevant were deleted, so let's move on to the update. And the next one is the first update to the story. Basically, I left my ex-husband 7 years ago and he was an abusive police officer who had a severe alcohol problem. Long story short, so much more in my post history, he lied and the court believed him. I was a stay-at-home mom with no history of drugs or alcohol. I told the court he had a history of alcohol and abuse. He said he did not. They believed him. He got custody. He argued that because I had been a stay-at-home mom, I had no income to provide for my children and that they should stay in the school they were attending because they had made friends there. I had to leave the town we lived in because he was stalking my house. 2 years ago, he was let go from the sheriff's office for being drunk on duty at 10 AM. I tried to take him back to court and then for custody, no lawyer, and was told by the commissioner that he likes my ex-husband and I will be hard-pressed to find a judge who didn't. Needless to say, I did not win anything, kids still with him and hate it. So, last month he was caught again by one of his officer friends being intoxicated with one of my kids' 16-year-old daughter in the car. They did not do a PBT, but said if he got back in the truck they would charge him with a DUI because he reeked of alcohol. They waved him down to give him something and then noticed that he smelled of alcohol and let him walk home. My daughter told me what happened and I sent for a Freedom of Information Act and was given the internal memo, and then the following Monday he left for a mental hospital, allegedly, for 6 weeks, did not tell me nor the kids that he was going to be gone or for how long. I found out from my kids that he had left, but he told them it was for training. His wife is the meanest person I know and my kids hate her. She begrudgingly told me he checked himself into a mental health facility but would not tell me where or for how long, but it would be at least 4 weeks. Fast forward, I hired a lawyer, got an emergency restraining order in place. He is not allowed to see the kids. He has not gotten back as far as I know. Court is scheduled on May 3rd, still nothing from opposing counsel. They are not responding to anything my lawyer submits or asks for, and I am so nervous. My kids are scared to go back. We have had them in counseling for a couple months. I have a declaration from their counselor stating they don't want to be there and detailing the alcohol and the abuse from his current wife. I have a CPS report 4 times called on him. My daughter spoke with the school counselor in the town he's a cop 5 times, detailing the abuse. She told my daughter that she was calling CPS, she never did. I asked her to at least write some info for me for court, and she stated she could not because she did not document any of the visits with my daughter. I cannot believe it. Anyway, I have now proof that he has a drinking problem. He left his kids without any explanation to them nor myself. He has been proven to be an absentee parent by their counselor. He puts his children in harm's way by drinking and driving with them in the car. The kids 16 and 14 don't want to be there and have reiterated that to the counselor on many occasions, and his wife by terms of the counselor is abusive. My daughter 16 had a full-on anxiety attack where she had trouble breathing when we got her because she was afraid her stepmom would rip her out of my car. Even though I had a court order to get them, we ended up taking her to the hospital and they diagnosed her with anxiety, proof given for court as well. So, why am I so nervous? My lawyers say not to get my hopes up because it is a small town with a good old boy system, but my kids counselor, who is also a certified GAL, said there is no way they are going back to this house. I don't know what I will do if they have to go back. They say they will not go back, but I know that is not how it works. The law is the law. Anyway, thanks for listening, and I will keep you all updated after the 3rd. And in regards to, she told my daughter that she was calling CPS, aka the wife of the husband, the person in the comment said, F her, she is a mandated reporter, contact health and social services and file a complaint. And another person suggested, include the counselor in your suit and report her and the principal to CPS as they failed as mandatory reporters. And OP answered, definitely, the counselor's report is about 6 pages long and made me cry when I read it, and that is definitely being submitted. Can I report the principal and the counselor to CPS, or is there a different agency I should report to? And then someone answered, call CPS and ask them if they take such reports on mandatory reporters failing in their job, or is there a supervisory board, etc. you should call. And guys, from what I can tell, this story is one of those about small town corruption once again, and this one in particular is really bad if you ask me. It looks like essentially everybody is working together to cover this awful police officer's butt. Let me know your thoughts about this story so far in the comments, and now let's continue with the updates. Second update to the story. Hey guys, I won adequate costs, $1,000 in attorney fees, child support, a GAL, and my daughter, who had the anxiety attacks because of her dad, has to be cleared by a therapist before she has to go to the 3-weekend-a-month visitation. My son is not entirely happy about the ruling because he doesn't want to see his dad, but I think that it might be a good opportunity for him to get some questions answered and make it clear what he wants. My ex-husband's lawyer was mean and stooped to calling me names and bringing up things that happened more than 5 years ago, like me not being able to afford 3-bedroom apartment after leaving their dad, but the judge saw right through everything. My lawyer followed the law and kept reciting it. Yay! Anyway, this is great news and we are on to trial, but we have to get the GAL started and the report to the judge. My kids finally have a voice. Third update to the story. Okay guys, it has been a little while, but we had our court date. Judge ordered 3 weekends a month with my son 14 and no visitation for our daughter 16 due to her anxiety around him until she is cleared by a counselor to see him. She still hasn't been as of today. We were granted a GAL and some attorney fees and child support. My ex tried to take my son out of school for lunches without my permission, so we had to have a bench hearing because he was not allowed to do that and he was denied doing that. I've been getting the UAs from opposing counsel and the reports from the treatment. He was drinking so much he was puking blood. Guys, he was puking blood around my kids. Anyway, the GAL report came back yesterday and she is recommending full custody with me and no forced visitation with him. I am thrilled beyond words. This was the GAL opposing counsel picked, by the way. So now we are at the beginning of the end, I hope. Opposing counsel is on vacation until Friday. At that point, the GAL is going to tell them her findings and we will see if they are willing to settle with me or if they are going to fight and take this all the way to trial, which is stupid in my opinion. I really hope my ex gets the idea. First, his kids don't want to live with him, in fact don't even want to be around him. Number 2, he's not in the best interest of them and actively put them in danger. Number 3, his wife is a terrible person who abuses them when he's not there and he cannot admit that and is choosing her. I hope he gives up and just lets us live our life. His lies are done, he cannot fool anyone anymore. And guys, as I promised you, this story is really a roller coaster and it is still not over. There are more updates to read. And please let me know in the comments if you enjoyed this story so far, because actually it is not exactly from r/LegalAdvice, even though it was linked on there. Instead it is from r/custody, which is also a very interesting subreddit. Fourth update to the story. Hi again guys, I know some of you have been following this, so I wanted to give a brief update. Okay, so the GAL has completed her investigation and here is her consensus. Ex-husband is to have limited contact with the children. Per the recommendations of their counselor, they are not allowed to be around his wife alone. GAL's parenting plan is putting me at full custody with ex-husband having 25% amount of time. I cannot post the specifics of the plan because it may take away the anonymity. Ex-husband, who initially said he would settle after the first intake, has changed his mind and wants to take this all the way to trial. Not looking forward to that, but for now we are following the GAL's recommendation. That means the 3 weekends per month is out the window, as both kids have expressed high amounts of anxiety being around their father. Neither kid has seen their stepmother since that last court appearance in May. Ex-husband is agreeing to switching custodianship to me though, so they can attend the school where I live, so I do have that, and also he seems to be progressing well in his recovery. Oh, and one of the children that does live in the home with ex-husband and his wife, her child, sent suicidal texts to my son that I immediately reported, and they are not taking measures to protect them, in fact telling the court that my son overreacted to the texts. However, the Mental Health Crisis Center did not find them to be an overreaction at all, but rather a very serious issue. They deem taking him off his acne medicine is the answer to the suicidal thoughts. Anyway, hoping to have a final update soon, but I don't know when that will be. We have another hearing coming up in the next week, so hopefully we will have a more concrete parenting plan in place instead of us just following the recommendations of the GAL and counselor. But for right now, my kids are happy, healthy, safe and thriving. And by the way guys, I'm not sure if I have mentioned it already, but it would be awesome if we could reach 1000 likes on the video, because that helps me out tremendously in terms of getting recommended by the YouTube algorithm. Thank you so much in advance. Final update to the story. Well guys, I have a final parenting plan signed with primary custody afforded to me. My ex-husband is still a police officer and he has been sober for 7 months now. Both my kids are still in therapy every other week and he has to attend sessions with them, and they are visiting him the first, second and fourth weekends. Both of my kids are happy that they are out of that house and are doing exceptionally well. All of my hard work and perseverance paid off. Thanks for being there with me on everything guys. We have a couple of extras put into the parenting plan, like they are to have access to their phones 100% of the time while with their dad. Second, they are to have unlimited access to their friends while visiting their dad, within reason. If their dad is working, they have the option to spend time with their friends instead of their terrible stepmother. Number 3, no disparaging comments about either parent by either parent or step-parent. Father needs to continue therapy with his kids until the therapist releases them, and then father is to continue recommendations of his counselor and treatment. And last but not least, if there's conflict between children and his wife, he has to resolve it within an hour, or else they can request to come home to my house. And you know guys, I actually just tried to Google what GAL means, because I think it is something related to the CPS maybe, but unfortunately I could not find anything on Google. If you know what GAL means, please let us know in the comments, because I would love to know. Either way, please let me hear your thoughts about this story in the comments. I enjoyed it honestly, because it was a little bit different than usual, and I'm always on the lookout for new interesting subreddits. And guys, unfortunately we have already reached the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed today's stories, and if you haven't already, please also go to patreon.com/ripeyoutube, where I upload exclusive Reddit videos starting at just $3 a month. This is a great way to support me in case you are interested. and the chance for me to become independent from YouTube revenue. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe and like the video, and I hope to see you again tomorrow.